G'day, folks, or should I say, Privyet Tavariski. Welcome, comrades, to 1861, the railways of the Russian Empire. I've come from a US Civil War game, 1861 to 1865, then to an East Front game, East Front series, building railways in Russia in the 1940s, to kind of combining those ideas to building railways in Russia in 1861. So this, of course, is an 18XX style of game. It is one of the older 18XX games, but it was recently republished. I have the older version here, recently picked up from a friend. And I'm using this as sort of my gateway back into 18XX gaming. I recently picked up 1861 and 1862. Now, I used to play 18XX games many, many years ago, back when I lived in Sydney. This particular title here, 1862, Railway Mania in the Eastern countries, published by GMT Games 2019, has, I believe, I'm led to believe, a bit of a solo mode within it. You can see their players 1 to 8. There's something particular about this game that I don't fully understand yet that will enable me to play this solo. For now, with 1861, I'm playing it three-handed. So off to the side of the board, I've got Woody, Reddy, and Bluey, three hands, playing this game. We've kicked things off with the opening sort of stock round. This game is all about wealth and accumulating wealth and accumulating interest in companies and using those companies to build railways and trains, and then to increase your share, the share value of your shares in those companies, so that they increase, and then to sell your shares when they're high, and then invest in new companies and get things started all over again and then push them up, and various other things. 1861 has some peculiar little rules, and as I said, it's been a while since I've played an 18XX game, so I'm first kind of rereading everything and wrapping my head around what's going on. What you see here, I just wanted to sort of pause and capture and give you a sense of what this looks like at the start of a game, is Russia, the Russian Empire in Tsarist Russia, 1861. And at the start of the game, we all invest in what are called private companies. So Woody out here on the left, you can see this is Woody's little play area. You start off with about 420 cash. What is the currency? I kind of want to say rubles, but I don't know if that's correct. Rubles, yes. You start off with 420 rubles. Yep. And they auction off these private companies. So Woody's sitting out here on the left, and I've driven strategy by basically where these players are sitting. So in a three-player game, Woody, Reddy, Bluey out on the right. Woody's sitting kind of in front of Riga and St. Petersburg, and his strategy is their strategy is to focus on this kind of rail network west of Moscow out here. So they have purchased the Moscow-Yaroslavl Railway, which is kind of around this area here. They have purchased, and they had to win the bid for this, the Warsaw-Vienna Railway, which is off the board here, I believe. Extra money if you connect to Poland off here. They were the first to win the bid for the Nikolaev, which you can see is here, which shifts out to the west of Moscow. Bluey down here, off the table, down here, they're focusing down in this area. So they've made sure they won the bid for the Black Sea Shipping Company, and because they have that and they get 10 extra income with a connection to Odessa, they've secured the Odessa-Kiev. These are private companies. These are, I think they're called minor companies, these boards here, and they're available for auction at the start. So all players auction for these, and the winning bid, in this case 100, goes into the company treasury, and half of that winning bid determines the initial stock price for these companies. So Nikolaev was won with 110 rubles, starts off with a share price of 55. The others were both secured for 100, and so they have a share price of 50 each. Now, I will point out that I think, in particular, Nikolaev was a bargain. 110 for the first company in Moscow, with a connection immediately up to St. Petersburg, I think is a huge bargain, but it's hard to say. One of the things I'm trying to wrap my head around is, okay, it's a very procedural game. You do this, then you do this, then you do this. It's hard to know what you should be doing. And I feel like the price, Bluey and Reddy and Bluey, just let Woody have Nikolaev at a very low price. Having said that, they also picked up their first minor companies in the bargain too. So 100 for that. And Bluey over on the right picked up, Bluey's going to focus on sort of this eastern area here. Happened to pick up the Moscow Nizhny Novgorod Railroad. You can see that card down there for the bargain price of 100 rubles, and so the share price is 50. They also picked up these two private companies, the Tsarskoye Selo Railway, which is up here, and then the Moscow Ryazan Railway, which is down here. Now, these companies also give you revenue each turn. So Bluey's picked up basically an extra 35 revenue. Reddy's got 15, and Woody over on the left has got 50 starting revenue. So they'll get 50 rubles each turn just for owning those companies. I'm still not quite finished this opening round of the opening stock round. I'm not sure, because you can keep going basically until all players pass. And so I don't know when a good point to do that is. Because I'm playing solo three-handed, when Woody wants to auction off Nikolaev, I'm trying to think of the mindset of Reddy and Bluey down south. So does Bluey want that, and they kind of invest to a certain amount, and what does Reddy want to do? But because they're all three players are kind of a bit naive and don't really know what's going on. They're all making the same mistakes. So it's all fair in the end. Silly mistakes, but mistakes that all three of the players are making. Beyond that initial stock round, each of these companies will need to invest in trains, which are up the top there, and the level of train that we're at. So you can see level 2 trains at the top of the pile. Then we start to go to level 3 trains. That dictates the round. I think it's called the phase that we're in. So at present we're at we will be at phase 2 once that first train is purchased. The trains will then enable companies to begin running routes and drawing income from the routes that those trains run based on the value of the stations they stop at. I won't explain much more of that right now. I'll cover that in a later video. But for now, as I said, I'm kind of coming to grips with the stock round and the initial placement of stations. So Woody out here on the left has placed the Nikolaev railway station here in Moscow. Bluey out here on the right has placed the Moscow Nizhny Novgorod line, looking to link up out here to Novgorod and try to dominate, I guess, these eastern areas. So you don't really, fair to say, you don't really control an area. It's not kind of like parceling off areas, but I'm just kind of trying to compartmentalize my thinking around these three players. And of course down south, Reddy with the Odessa, Kiev, they're going to try and see what can happen down here. And then as things evolve, the larger public companies, which you can see off here, so there's the bank, these public companies will come out in phase 4, basically when the phase 4 trains come out. And with these, you can have multiple players. You can see the shares up here. The first player to buy, to open up really a public company, takes the director's share worth 20%. That's basically 2 shares worth. And then other players can also invest and buy shares, and they can all sort of profit and influence the stock prices for that public company. That's when it gets really interesting. There are, of course, still some... so we've got 3 of these minor companies out at the start. There are still, what have we got over there, 5, 6, 7 available. And that's what I'm kind of deliberating right now. So we're back over to Woody, who has what's called the priority deal marker. they now get to say, okay, well, what else do I perhaps want? Do I want the SPW, which is St. Petersburg to Warsaw minor company, which will give him another route down through here? Or do they want, I don't know, what did they see? Moscow, Kharkov, I'm guessing, MK? Moscow, MK, where is that? Moscow Kursk Railroad. Yeah, options. So I'm still deliberating and thinking and wondering about cash limits. So Woody has spent a lot of cash on these private companies in particular. They're down to about 150. Reddy still has 220 cash, and Bluey's on about 200. So the two players that are down here have a lot more cash than Woody over there, but Woody seems to have invested in the best company despite the bargain that they've got. When you can, as I said, you buy and sell shares. When you sell shares, they tend to go back into the bank pool. This is the kind of stock market indicator up here as shares go up and down. There's a turn track around there. We're currently in a stock round. Then we go into operating rounds, and that's when you buy new trains, lay new track. It's when you effectively do things with your companies, and again use the company treasuries to do all that stuff. So Woody has bought the Nikolaev company. He's put the money that it cost to buy that company into the company treasury. They now have 110 rubles to do all those kind of things. And I don't know. So I guess the more you pay for a company, the more money they have to operate with. The less money you have, I don't know. So it's going to be kind of a test run to see what this is like to play. It's going to be very crude, error-laden test run, but I'm keen to kind of get back into 18XX. I thought I'd start with 1861. A friend said that this is a good one to start with because there's the State Railroad. It's not a nasty kind of interventionist. There's a lot of these 18X games have a kind of a take that element to them where you can really have your feet cut out from under you by other players selling your stock and devaluing your companies. Less so apparently, and there's a lot of open space. And as I said, I'm kind of compartmentalizing my thinking around sort of geographical areas of Russia. So stay tuned, and I'll have more coming up on 1861. Nothing to do with the American Civil War, nothing to do with building railroads during Operation Barbarossa.